This is Physics 2211 Lab 4 by Jackson Green Quorum. Purpose of this lab is simple. We're going to compare through code and a video the motion of a spring mass system. In this lab we had the option to use an already pre-recorded video, so that's what I went with. The end results of this lab should consist of a graph and glow script that models the difference between the real life and simulated energies and forces. Using the tracker software, I uploaded a video of a ball attached to a spring, tracking the movements over a course of time, and tracker would generate a graph of the X and Y components with respect to time. After this, I would translate the tracker data into GlowScript and modify the starter code that we were provided so that the GlowScript code closely represents the real-life data. All in all, this is our setup. Notice over here, this is the modified code right here, and over here, this is the tracker setup. Notice that I have the fixed attachment point as the origin of our axis, with a tracker on the mass part of the spring mass system. I also have a little setup here tracking the distance of the initial length of the spring at rest, which is 0.7 meters. The outcomes are simple. Tracker gave us an X of t and a Y of t graph. Very uniform. You can see this little linear section right at the beginning. That's because I also tracked the very beginning of the video when the spring was still not moving. And here's the GlowScript outcome. Notice up top right, we can see our delta K for kinetic energy, delta U grav, and delta U spring for our spring potential and gravitational potential energy. Notice that my delta E is not all the way at 0. So that means that somewhere in my code, I messed up and I didn't get a true delta E of 0. However, it was very much close, oscillating right just above and below 0. And again, on the X position, right, the model versus the experiment almost aligns perfectly. It's just that the model doesn't account for the linear section of the tracker graph. And here comes to the discrepancy. Obviously, this is not what my tracker graph looked like on our left in the Y position. The blue line is a complete discrepancy, and I blame it on the error in the CSV file transfer. And yeah, so the equations we used were the gravitational potential energy, the spring potential energy, kinetic energies, spring force, force of gravity, the velocity update, and the position update formulas. All stuff that we have seen before, except our new energy formulas. So what does it mean? Well, for my model system, the energy principle is mostly satisfied, but not completely, since again, my delta E is not 0, which means that there was work done on the system that I didn't account for. Using the data I obtained, I calculated that the period of the X coordinates was roughly 1.7 seconds, whereas the Y was roughly 0.95 seconds, which means that my X period was way longer than my Y oscillation period. So my concluding ideas is that there were major coding and tracker discrepancies, which stems from the CSV file error. Thank you very much.